Praise the Lord. My name's James Munyi Nyaga, and I'm going to read for you the profile. And this is my wife, Monica Mombua, and she's going to stand by me as I read the profile for you. Bishop Dr. Nyaga profile. Ignatius Nyaga was born in a small village called Kandhize in 1957 in Chicago sublocation, Ndawa location, Mbeere North Sub-County in Embu County. In 1982, after he got married, they moved to settle in Madhai village in a family land within Chicago sublocation. His parents were the late Njoe Ngonyere, commonly known as Mokirie, and his lovely late second wife, Margaret Mwenge. His first wife was the late Monica Igoki, who gave birth to Margaret Mbura Nduto, she's around, and Fausta Ngema, elder sister to Ignatius from his stepmother. Ignatius was born with his late brothers, Gabriel Ireri and Peter Njoka. He was the firstborn. His early life. Ignatius' early life had a lot of challenges because of the family background. His father died when he was 5 years old, though he was born in a hospital, now an old structure and not well kept. His mother did not keep the actual dates of his birth. He joined class 1 in Chicago Primary School at the age of 7 in 1965 in a nearby Roman Catholic church environment. In 1967, when Ignatius was in class 3, he was introduced to taking beer in a dowry negotiation in a meeting of his younger stepsister, Faustina Ngema. The elders required him to sip a little beer as the man of the home, Mzee wa Boma, because his dad was not alive and he had to play his role. The introduction of beer at the early age gave him a desire to drink beer secretly. He would secretly drink the traditional liquor that his mother used to brew for her family's upkeep. That was her main economic activity, to help feed her children besides peasant farming and working in people's gardens. As the firstborn, peasant farming and working in people's gardens. As the firstborn, Ignatius would accompany his mother in doing all the hassles of the day, and he could help his mother in brewing the traditional beer, help in cooking for his siblings, and other tasks like fetching water and firewood. During holidays, his sister Ngema would go with him to a stone quarry nearby, and they would turn hardcore into concrete. One tin was paid at 10 cents per day. He would do at least 30 to 50 tins and take home Kenya shillings 3 to 5 shillings. A packet of Jogoo flour would sell for 3 shillings and 60 cents. When Ignatius joined his late mother to weed in people's gardens, they would barely make 6 to 10 shillings per day. This kind of life affected his upbringing, full of challenges from food, clothing, beddings, etc. Though their mother was hardworking and disciplinarian, growing up was full of challenges. Was despised by women and men in the neighborhood who lived well, and this made Ignatius desire to live a better life. His both mothers kept telling him to study hard so that one day he could be like the late minister Jeremiah Nyaga, who was an MP then for Kirinyaga and Embu counties from a number of years after independence. This environment made Ignatius to have low self-esteem, live a frustrated life, and without a direction or purpose. This changed, however, when he received Christ as his Lord and Savior years later. He kept remembering the words of his mother to work hard, and this gave him inspiration. He repeated class 5 for 3 years because he went to school drunk, and also kept on dropping because the mother could not afford a school fees, which was Kenya shillings 20 per month. This was in 1969 to 1971. In 1972, he was pushed to class 6 because even in class 5, though he had repeated for 3 years, he was number 5 from the bottom in 1971. In 1973, he did his Certificate of Primary Education, CPE, barely got marks to join Form 1. His secondary school days. In 1974, he joined Nyangwa Secondary School in Bere South, a day school. This school was 11 kilometers from his home. The mother rented him a house to stay in while in school. It was not a big issue to cook for himself and survive because he did that from class 3 to class 7. He did not have a luxury of using public transport, matatus, during opening and closing of schools or midterm. He walked the 11 kilometers from 1 to from 4. Ignatius did not wear leather shoes. He used to wear a kala in Ginyera. In 1976, when in Form 3, Isaac Kinoti, a teacher in Nyangwa, led him to Christ and gave Ignatius the early foundation in faith. Ignatius is proud of his teacher, and when Ignatius was in Form 4, Isaac invited him to his wedding in Meru, paid fare for him to witness his wedding. It is this teacher who inspired Ignatius to marry in a holy wedding on the 7th, 8th, 1982. Ignatius' wedding was the first holy wedding of a saved young man, and they did their wedding on a Saturday in Chuka, Astrid's town, and had a second reception on Sunday in Chicago on the 8th because only 14 people from Ignatius' home managed to attend the wedding. After high school, Ignatius did casual jobs in his hometown, like selling tea in a kiosk. 3 months, his pay was Kenya shillings 3 per day. To get the value of what that meant, one andazi was selling at 50 cents, selling a soda booking 1 week. He was fired in his second job when he refused to sell cigarettes because of his faith. By God's grace, the man who fired Ignatius called him and took him to the Barclays Bank, now ABSA, bank manager in Embu, who later connected Ignatius to Mr. Alex Njue, the then district commissioner of Isiolo. This was within a span of 2 weeks. Ignatius changed status when he started living in the DC as his son. He had to leave DC's residence to allow him connect more with brethren for fellowship. For 1 year, Ignatius got involved in casual work in construction industry, became a watchman, and worked as a houseboy. The DC did not get a job for him until after 1 year, when Ignatius got a job as an adult education teacher in the Ministry of Culture and Social Services. Work he did from July 1999 to 1990, 11 years. When he resigned to join Life Ministry as a full-time missionary staff. In 1991, Ignatius became a youth pastor in East African Pentecostal Church, where he led the Northern Kenya district as a youth pastor, district clerk, and district secretary of EAPC Northern District. This district covered 7 counties with 35 churches, and these counties were Isiolo, Samburu, Marsabit, Garissa, Wajir, Mandera, Tana River, and part of Meru County. Ignatius traveled to visit these churches, train pastors to keep churches' records, sent pastors support from partners, and coordinated youth ministry. Marriage life. He met his wife in Isiolo, where she came to work in the Ministry of Health as the Medical of Health Secretary. They married on the 7th of August, 1982. The honeymoon was affected by the then 1982 coup. They spent their honeymoon doing bricks for their house because he had married in a grass-thatched house without windows. They have been married for 40 years, and on 7th August, they will be celebrating 40 years in ministry and marriage. Ignatius and Astrid invite you to join them in their 40-40 celebration tomorrow at CCI Roiro. They have been blessed with 3 biological children, James, Paul, and Silas, and 1 adopted son, Ken. They have 2 daughters in love, Monica and Mercy, and 2 grandsons. Their third daughter in love, Joan, 10th of October this year at Sitam, Karen. they invite you for this celebration. Ministry training. Ignatius did his BA in Bible and Theology at International Christian Ministry Seminary in Kitale in 1997 to 2001. He later in Leadership Management Academy, ALMA, for his master's while serving in Malawi. He dropped after relocating back to Kenya in 2009. In Kenya, he joined International Leadership University, ILU, and he is not yet through due to financial brought about by his children's university education. He hopes to resume completing his MA in leadership in the near future. He has done short work-related training such as Life Ministry New Staff Training for 9 months in Kenya, relevant youth ministry courses at Desta University, leadership development courses in the US, strategic planning in Cyprus, fund development in South Africa, cross-culture training in missions in Zimbabwe, family life training in South Africa, executive ministry training in Switzerland, financial management systems in Ethiopia, evangelism and discipleship training in Kenya, church planting and church multiplication training in Manila, Philippines, education trips and conferences in Greece, Thessaloniki, Philippi, and Ephesus, just to mention a few. Ministry milestones. Ignatius has had 17 years working with the youth and served as East African Pentecostal Church youth pastor from 1981 to 1989. As a youth pastor, he was coordinating 35 churches. From 1990 to 1997, he served as the National Youth Director of EAPC. He was coordinating 800 local churches. He also served as the Training Center Director of Life Ministry Isiolo from 1992 to 1997. His work involved training leaders in Isiolo, Meru, and in Laikipia counties. He trained many leaders who serve today as church elders, pastors, overseers, and bishops. In 1998, Ignatius was Executive Ministry Director and Team Leader in Nairobi. He also coordinated family life for Life Ministry Kenya staff. He directed the Silver Jubilee for Life Ministry Kenya. In 1999 to 2004, Ignatius was the Life Ministry Director in Tanzania. He had powerful executive ministry, students ministry, and Jesus Field ministry. He expanded ministry locations from 1 to 8 regional offices, which were led by Jesus Film staff. He was able to raise the employees from 9 to 68. He bought an office at Sinza, bought land near the ocean, given 5 acres of land by the government to build a prayer retreat center in Morogoro. He had good working relationship with the regional commissioners, and they used to be guests of honor in the Jesus Film premieres. He had great partnership with the major denominations, Tanzanian Assembly of God, Evangelical Lutheran Church in Tanzania, Moravian, Kanisa la Pentecostal Tanzania, Evangelical Assemblies of God, and small churches in villages, and planted many churches in all the regions of Tanzania. Thousands got saved and were discipled. The Jesus Film was translated in only one local language, Sukuma. He did 12 new languages, and 9 were in the process of translation when he left in 2004. It costed about $40,000 to do one local language. In 2005 to 2008, Ignatius was assigned to be the National Director for Life Ministry Malawi. God helped him to start an executive ministry, strengthen the students' ministry, started family life ministry, and did partnership with major denominations such as Church of Central Africa, Presbyterian, Malawi Assemblies of God, Lilongwe Pentecostal Church, and the International Christian Center of Bishop Dr. Chakwera, now the president of Malawi. One major partnership was with Malawi Assemblies of God. The end-to-end project funded by Campus Crusade for Christ with other partners like Bible Society, Faith Comes by Hearing, Jesus Film, and Life Ministry Malawi witnessed 155 churches planted under his leadership in Malawi. In partnership with Africa Evangelistic Enterprise, AEE, he trained 150 Malawi police commissioners, and as a result, many police officers gave their lives to the Lord. In 2009 to 2013, he came back to Kenya, and in 5 years, he led GCM Kenya and trained 4,000 associates, and so many churches and groups started. During this time, he helped to translate to a number of languages like Samburu and Rendile, Magdalena film, Walking with Jesus film to Swahili, Kikuyu, and left many translations in the pipeline when he got a promotion to work in the Life Ministry Regional Office. From June 2013 to October 2021, 8 years, Ignatius served as Global Church Movement Regional Director, 24 countries of Southern and Eastern Africa, church planting and church multiplication, 6 years. Over 10,000 churches planted within the region. Thereafter, in the same region, he did fund development and was actively involved in raising money for Hope 2020 during COVID-19 season, an initiative by the regional office that brought many people to Christ. Today, he is the Go Movement Kenya Director and East African Go Movement Director, 9 countries, Democratic Republic of Congo, South Sudan, Somali, Rwanda, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, and Ethiopia. Global movement purpose is to mobilize churches to evangelize. The vision of to witness is every believer. In Kenya, in the month of May only, the movement reached 13,675 people, and 617 gave their lives to Christ. From 2019, Ignatius was appointed by the Archbishop and founder of CCI, Right Reverend Dr. Henry Mulandi, to be the church planting national coordinator. Within the last 4 years, he has trained leaders and pastors in a number of dioceses in church planting, and over 200 fellowships and churches have been planted. CCI Royal Leadership Perspective of Bishop Nyaga. Bishop Dr. Ignatius Nyaga has been in CCI Royal for the last 12 years. During this time, he has distinguished himself as an articulate preacher, a resourceful mentor, and an unthreatening leader. He is a man of faith who does not fear challenges. During this period, the church has reflected growth in several ways. The most prominent aspect has been his ability to notice potential in a person, nurture it, and empower the person in their area of gifting. In this way, he has raised pastors, empowered departmental leaders, resulting to a busy, vibrant church. Dr. Ignatius has a genuine passion for lost souls. That is true. His heartbeat is evangelism and church planting. Raised a mission department in the church and has trained a team specifically for evangelism and discipleship. His vast experience in winning souls with the Life Ministry has impacted the church. Dr. Ignatius trusts people. He has mastered the art of delegation. He describes himself as a hands-off, eyes-on type of a leader. That way, he has been able to have a church running despite his busy schedule. Dr. Ignatius is a family man. He has set out a priority list for believers. God is number 1, family number 2, ahead of ministry, business, project, etc. He sees church as family and values moments of fellowship and swallowship. Dr. Ignatius has a special place for children. The church has a fully established children's church, as well as in charge of children ministry. During his tenure as CCI Roiro, he has raised 11 pastors and planted 3 churches. The pastors he has raised have largely gone out to plant churches. A few have remained to serve with him in the church. He has established a church planting department in the church. This is a team that plants a church and offers support until the church is able to stand on its own with an established structure. Dr. Ignatius has facilitated the establishment of projects in the church. Ruiru Christian School is an institution established to serve the community. The objectives of the schools are child evangelism, academic empowerment, job creation, and making profit. Currently, the school has 446 learners and 30 members of staff. CCI Ruiru Child Development Center is a partnership project between the church and Compassion International Kenya. The main aim of this initiative is to release children from poverty in Jesus' name. It endeavors to bring up wholesome Christian adults from needy families by fostering the physical, spiritual, mental, and social-emotional development in children. Currently, the project has over 385 children, 3 permanent workers, and several part-time workers. CCI Ruiru has also mentored a few CCI churches that have established similar projects. Baraka Christian Empowerment Circle is a saving and credit society established in the church. Initially, it comprised of only church members, but it has now spilled over to other churches and the community in general. Its objective is financial empowerment for members. Members who save with the circle have been able to buy land, build homes, start businesses, educate children, etc., etc. Currently, the circle has over 360 members and a working capital of over 21 million. Currently, the church is building a 1,500-seater cathedral at a cost of about 50 million. It will be done not by power, not by might. As a church, we have learned to walk by faith. In conclusion, CCI Ruiru thanks God today for the gift of Bishop Nyaga. We pride ourselves having a who is widely traveled, resourceful, yet approachable. To the churches in the newly, take time to learn from him. Organize seminars where he can train and equip leaders. Don't hesitate to talk to him when you have a problem. Read these books. Do not allow this special servant to just pass by. God has raised him for such a time. Roles of service in the recent past. Chairman, African Christian Mission International, ACMI, Board, 3 years. Board of Management member, Chicago Girls High School, 3 years. Board of Management member, Chicago Boys High School, 3 years. Life Ministry Malawi Board, Board Secretary, 4 years. Life Ministry Tanzania Board Secretary, 6 years. National Leadership Team, Life Ministry Kenya, for 5 years. Campus Crusade for Christ International, Southern and Eastern Africa Directors Council, 10 years. Campus Crusade for Christ International, Southern and Eastern Africa Area Leadership Team, 8 years. Current responsibility. Board member, Gospel Fire International, 5 years. Board member, Golden Heart Kenya, 2 years. Member, CCI Nairobi Diocese Executive Council for 5 years. Chairman, CCI Nairobi Region Executive Council, 7 years. Chairman, CCI Church Council, 12 years. Chairman, Kiambu and Murang'a Cluster Compassion International Partnership Projects. Patron, Ruiru Christian School for 7 years. Patron, Child Development Center, CCI Ruiru for 10 years. Patron in Nairobi Pentecostal Bible College, CCI Ruiru for 4 years. Chairman, Life Ministry, 50 years anniversary next year. Go Movement Director Kenya, 1 year. Go Movement East Africa Director, 3 years. Chairman, Seed for Life Initiative, 4 years. Founder and Director, Chicago Ebenezer Prayer and Retreat Center, 12 years. Father to his children, husband to her street, lead pastor CCI Ruiru, staff Life Ministry Kenya, author, motivational teacher, mentor, and coach. And you can follow him in social media. At YouTube is Bishop Dr. Ignatius Nyaga. In Facebook, Bishop Dr. Ignatius Nyaga. On Twitter is Bishop Dr. Ignatius Nyaga. At Instagram is Bishop Dr. Ignatius Nyaga. May God bless you all.